This is what gave rise to Atlantis. This is also the reason why the Atlanteans were so powerful. You are familiar with beings that in some of your texts are called Nephilim, described as giants that were the sons of angels and humanity.
那这一集会带大家了解亚特兰提斯、雷姆利亚的种种传说中的历史真相啊！如果你有兴趣的话，一定要听到最后哦。这次是由一位传讯人 Tyler Ellison， 他接到龙的讯息，跟大家做分享。那我会把 Taylor 的资讯也放在底下资讯栏，如果你有兴趣的话，也欢迎追踪以及订阅。国外这边有非常多的通灵人，那这个东西呢，已经不再是一个怪力乱神的事情，甚至每一个人想要的话，其实都有机会可以通灵。如果你是第一次来到我的频道，你好，我是 Fiona， 我是显化女神。那我的频道是有关身心灵，当然也会有一些吸引力法则，更多的呢会带大家进入身心灵领域更深层的话题。如果你对我的频道有兴趣的话，欢迎订阅、按赞、开启小铃铛。
It's pretty bright, but let's do it. It's more bright.
You have a spotlight.
I do, thank you. I like it. I'm wearing a spotlight and I get a spotlight. It's a good feeling.
So, does the dragons like the kalimba?
I think they'll like it. I feel like dragons like music. That seems like a dragon thing, right?
Yeah, it feels like it.
There is a new era that has been summoned forth. Long ago, an agreement was made by original soul family that had migrated to Earth. These soul family groups, upon incarnation, were closely woven together, tightly knit. A global group of familial consciousness on your planet. These beings evolved into what you consider to be Lemurian beings over time. With your story, you must all keep in mind there are multiple origins. We are not speaking about timelines and differences that exist between them. We mean within one unified timeline. There are multiple human origin stories. Many of you understand that certain extraterrestrial beings engineered what you call the human form. You must remember these beings themselves, what are called by some Anunnaki, possess the human form, which reveals your humanity began not on Earth. This form that you call the human form has a level of universal accessibility. It is able to flow with any incarnational dynamic that allows for physical life to blossom. This is one of the special things about your form. So in that sense, it is a common form for advanced forms of consciousness to use to explore planetary bodies, but it is also maintained in light realms for the same level of access and convenience that it expresses physically. So the human form existed on Earth, first in a non-densified state, an energy body. Over time, the elements within the energy body separated, forming the major organs, their tissues, and the various substances of the body. All of this was over time differentiated. In that way, the schematics for the human body were preformed in an energetic matrix, while the species existed in its light form. The Lemurians and the people that eventually became them, over time, through changes in the earth, withdrew from some of the locations that they had resided in for generations. This is because of the creation of another version of humanity. The version of humanity that you understand as being an Anunnaki creation. New beings came. New civilizations formed. The Lemurians withdrew from many of their regions. They saw this happening before it had actually manifested. They were aware they were about to share the planet with another version of humanity, much younger, and a version of humanity that was in a certain sense controlled by the creator being, whilst some of the creator beings sought to liberate this version of humanity from the very control that they were said to represent as a species. The Lemurian Empire, because it consolidated, grew, became more powerful. Yet within the Lemurian people there was a sense of anxiety forming because they recognized that which had recently been created was learning certain extraterrestrial arts that the Lemurians had not trained in. You would consider this to be the art of war, the art of conquering, the art of cunning. So, these qualities began to inform this younger human variety and how their civilizations grew. Instead of power sharing, what you might call its opposite, power hoarding, was maintained as a type of ethos. The pyramidal control structure that many of you are familiar with, this was implemented here in these early civilizations. The Lemurians had a very different way of operating. They, at a certain point, began to send members of their society to meet with this younger version of humanity for negotiations, for the discussion of shared goals, values, visions. Certain arrangements were made. Certain marriages were arranged. Certain deals were struck that led to hybrid civilizations that blended Lemurian consciousness with the consciousness of this newly created human variety. This is what gave rise to Atlantis. This is also the reason why the Atlanteans were so powerful. You are familiar with beings that in some of your texts are called Nephilim, described as giants that were the sons of angels and humanity. This is a representation of certain varieties of consciousness. For not only were beings like Atlanteans produced, but other varieties of the human form were produced, including that which to you classically understand as giant-like beings. Large beings. In some instances, their parents were not even impressively large. This is because certain genetic programs for these things exist within all of you. Certain processes can be activated through certain rituals. So many forms, many varieties of humanity were created through this hybridization. The Lemurian seers understood that this blending, whilst it would temporarily create peace and cooperation, would eventually yield chaos. For they recognized the beings that were created were in many ways a blending of extremes. Therefore, they were in a certain sense beings of extremes. And that was a very powerful defining feature for these various new human groups that unfold. Lemuria fell. At some time later, Atlantis fell. Both groups, before their collapse, formed numerous colonies, seeded numerous civilizations, many of them further hybridized, blending with indigenous groups, native groups of different lands, different cultures, absorbing cultures into them, but also exhaling new cultures that blended Atlantean, Lemurian ways with the ways of these different indigenous. There are blendings happening now. You all possess a variety of alternate selves. To say you possess them is perhaps an interesting perspective. It is perhaps more correct to say you are one with many alternates. The Atlantean varieties of you, the Lemurian varieties of you, on what you would call a higher astral level, are interacting in a way that is allowing for them to share information, that is allowing for them to share secrets, and that is a continuation of their karma in a way that you would deem to be auspicious. Peace treaties, now that they are being worked out on the astral plane, are much more reflective of true peace, because in that higher astral plane, all is seen, all is known. It is a place of transparency, which is why only certain beings are able to ascend to it. But once it is accessed, the truth of any issue can be seen by both parties. Negotiations, peace treaties are made, and it ripples into the timelines, it ripples into your physical reality. Because these selves are coming together, different dimensions of you within your timeline are coming together, blending with your present self. In terms of your chakric systems, this is your heart and your solar plexus coming together, being held by the Earth Foundation. 3 major centers activating, paving the way for this new era we described. The new era is the constant, blissful, and ever-changing awareness of the God Self, the Goddess Self, eternally present within you and with all things. It will be as if it refuses to leave your view. You cannot help but notice it. And as this awareness spreads, the true royal quality and divinity and acknowledgement of such within humanity will begin to rev its engine and will begin to paint pictures in the sky for all to see. Changes will come, but this sense of true divinity will reach all. So no matter who is exploring Earth, a certain awareness will be held. This awareness has many benefits. It is not just a pleasant sense of being connected to yourself and others. With this awareness, it allows certain things to take place that would otherwise not be present. It disallows certain things from taking place that would disrupt the state, creating a new baseline, a new homeostasis for your world. This is why we describe it as a new area. More will come. We share this with you now so you may all understand Lemuria in a deeper way, so you may understand Atlantis in a deeper way, so you may understand yourselves in a deeper way. So, be blissful, be true, and know above all else who and what you are. Thank you.
I have a question.
You may proceed.
Okay. Since you are here, is there anything like you would wanna share for each one of us? Like any message for each one of us?
Remember, you have the ability to fly at any time. Of course, I'm referring to the flight of your soul. Any dream you have, fly to it first. Live it. Retrieve it. Breathe it in. Absorb it. Fly back to yourself. Fly through your chakras, telling the gods and goddesses inside of you of your dream, showing them your vision. Get your whole body on board. And then paint or draw or write your vision. Express it some way, physically, even basically, and you'll watch doors open. And if you feel bold, you can walk through them. It would benefit you to walk through those doors you saw.
So basically be bold and live in our dream.
Correct. Correct. Remember what I have said as you replay it in different ways. It will speak to you in new ways the more you hear it. You'll see more of this picture with repetition. But nevertheless, that essence you have described is accurate.
What do you mean by speak to it? You will show me more? Can you elaborate?
The information is layered. You're hearing words, yes?
Yeah.
But there are dimensions of the words you do not hear. Meanings. Secret meanings imposed within the words. Carefully selected to create activations at certain times. So through your recording technology, you can listen to this, you can replay this, you can meditate on this. New levels of it will be revealed upon repetition, upon study and contemplation, if you will.
I see. If this video ever gets out in public, if anyone sees it, what would you like to share to them?
Come to the mountain and feel us. And if you're lucky, you might see us. And if it's a strong connection, we can work together. There are some whom have goals in their lives that are paralleling ours in wonderful complementary ways. So we seek those. So, mountains are homes for many beings. Dragons are a great population within mountain structures.
So I heard that there's a lot of dragons. Which kind of you are you?
I would be considered by your people a solar dragon.
Solar dragon from
I represent the sun in certain capacities.
I see.
In that sense, my main power is to create balance, objectivity, and blissful transformation through elevation.
So, why do you think that universe brought us to here and now and to meet you?
Because when you interact with dragons, your own dragon becomes awakened. So, as we have said, a new era is here. It's a blend of your ancient past brought into your present. We're a part of that past. Therefore, we now have relevance once more in your present.
Thank you. Great sharing.
You are welcome. Thank you for hearing. We, for now, shall depart, for there are new chapters in your story that are here and now for pleasant.
Thank you.